Hey guys, welcome back. It's Jen with Happy Humble Home, and it's time for the weekly update. So before we jump back into how our week has been, make sure that you subscribe and don't forget to ring that bell so that way you'll get notified of all the adventures and happenings here on Happy Humble Home. So let's flash back.
Shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant, we delighted. Behold,
mention it real quick, this amazing resource for math, especially it's mathgames.com. I'm not sponsored or anything like that. As far as all three of my boys have used it for different variations, it's not games like what you would typically think with math games. It's a little bit more of a lesson that straightforward questions. Like my youngest son, he was doing some math games earlier this week, and he was doing pictures for equations for like 3 + 5, but it was using pictures instead, and then he would just type in the answer. So it's kind of like a math lesson, but it's also like games that they make it by the pictures they use or something like that. So it's really fun, and they're getting to do it on the computer, so that makes them feel like it's more of a game anyways too. And even my older sons have used it, and whenever I want them to do a little bit more than what typical math games are, because we also use abc.com for math games, and they're fun and all. Like, they can do their racing game and type and race and all, which is good, and they enjoy that. But sometimes I want them to have a little bit more of a focused math topic that I want them to do, and there's a lot more options at mathgames.com. It's a really good free resource. There's a way you can subscribe as well. I don't know if that unlocks more, because you can do it on skill set, you can do it by grade level. I just happened to find it, and at this point we haven't run into any free trial errors or anything like that we've used up our free trial. So I don't think that is, and I'm not 100% sure what you would get when you subscribe. But either way, I've been really impressed with it. So if y'all haven't ever used it, or if you know more about it, I'd love to hear a little bit more details about it. but I did just want to share that with y'all. Alright, so as you can see, we've had a pretty fun week. We haven't done just a whole lot. We finally officially finished all the decorations, got all that up, so Christmas spirit is in full swing around here. And as far as school this week, as you can tell that I've already mentioned the mathgames.com, that is a great resource. And also one thing that I did do differently this week, or actually just today rather, was when it comes to reading, I kind of made up like a little game for him. So since he has words to read and sight words, for lack of a better word, sight words that he's working on reading, then I have put them on a note card and I would lay them around his room. He has to run and go find them. What you doing, bud?
Find my bike.
Oh, you're gonna go ride your bike?
Around here, yeah.
Okay. So he has to find his sight words and then he would bring it back to me. I'd erase it and rewrite and he would go put it back. And it was a fun way so that way he could be up and moving during phonics instead of just sitting down and reading for at least part of the lesson, because the other part he does sit down, focus, and we get it done. Another game that one of my neighbor friends was telling me about was almost like a Candyland version, to where you have like a Candyland board. And honestly, I guess you could probably, think about it, you could even use like a Candyland board game if you wanted to. But they have, I think, printable versions and all where you can write the sight word. So it's like a Candyland board, printer type setup, to where you write the sight words on the board. You have a die, you can roll it, and then whichever spot you land on is the word that you read. Or if you wanted to play where you had to read each word to that spot, just something fun like that. So it's more of like a reading game activity. And I haven't done that activity yet with him, but I think that would be something that would be really easy to do and to help have fun when it comes to reading. That's pretty much been it on school. We haven't really done many Christmassy activities yet, but we will. We do have a really cool ornament tessellation that we're going to do, but that won't be for a couple weeks still. And that's pretty much been about it when it comes to school. I will be working pretty soon on helping finalize the grades for this semester, because again, with our umbrella school HLA, Home Life Academy, not sponsored, we do have to report grades twice a year, but they're not due until the middle of January. But I do try to go ahead and have them all finalized either by the end of Christmas break or like the week that we start back school, just so that way I have plenty of time for in case something happens. So I will be helping on finalize that. If you haven't checked out my video on the way that I do help grade track grades throughout the semester, I will make sure I leave it up a little iCard, and I'll leave it in the description link as well, or in the description box link to the video as well, where I did a little tutorial or just a quick view on how I help manage to keep grades, at least for my 6th and 4th grader, because my kindergartner, of course, I do different. I don't do letter grades for him right now. But then I want to show you my beans, because they're obviously dead at this point. And I really didn't get as many. I don't think any of them went to seed quite like one. I'm afraid it got too cold too fast, but that's okay. The fact of the matter is, let's see, you can see here, like they're still kind of, I think I probably picked all the mature ones and then we got too cold too fast, but that's okay, because this was a huge learning curve as far as like when to grow them. If I had gotten these in the ground a lot more, or a lot sooner, I would have. Me and my husband were actually talking the other day about, we're gonna build some more of these. We'll probably move my taters container over to that fence, so that way that gives us more room to do beans and taters, and or not taters, but beans and tomatoes there, and probably a few other things as well. So I'm still trying to figure out on that. As far as the front garden goes, we haven't done anything else. We do have, I've showed y'all where we have down the barrier. We haven't worried about getting the rock or anything at that point, but I am still trying to research and figure out what kind of herbs and medicinal plants that I do want for our front garden. I know for a fact I want a rose bush because I love rose bushes anyways, and I want the ones that I can harvest the rose hips from. So if y'all know of any good medicinal roses for that, let me know, or good line of roses, I guess, for lack of better words, that would work well for being able to harvest the rose hips each year. Please let me know, because we have a fair amount of space to work with. So if y'all have any tips or tricks for that, please let me know, because coming up in the next couple months, I want to have everything finalized. And then I've got one of our friends owns a nursery and all, and so I can talk to her a little bit more about what grows really well in this climate and in the space that I have. And see our little candy canes. But honestly, y'all, that's pretty much about it. I will be I did make up I do have some sourdough bread starter going. The last time I tried to make sourdough bread, the starter, it did not do well at all. So this time seems to do a lot better, and I think it's because I was keeping it either on top of the fridge because I thought that was warm enough, but I think the way our house is set up, there's cabinets or the refrigerator, so the warmest part of the refrigerator is actually under the cabinets, so it's not really doing any good. I use sourdough bread starter, it's not warm enough. So I figured out that there's one certain window that gets quite a bit of sunlight, and then also the she's fine. Dog's trying to, her face, she's gonna escape. She'll be fine. She's okay. I'll keep an eye on her. Juliet! No, don't call her around front. If you're gonna go around front, okay? Because I don't want to run in people's yards, in other people's yards, because it's not. No, she can stay back here by me. So I think I figured that out. It seems to. I tried to move it to that window earlier. Or no, like yesterday on day 2, and it did a lot better than it did on day 1. So I'm just gonna keep trying, and hopefully it'll work, and hopefully I'll be able to get some good sourdough bread starter going. I will also be making some homemade whipped cream, because I also make my own homemade coffee creamer. So I'll actually be making up a batch pretty soon. So I will actually do a video on that for you. If y'all are interested in making your own homemade coffee creamer, it's super simple. There's actually a couple different ways you can do it, and I'll discuss that more in that video, but that will be an upcoming video pretty soon. Juliet, come here. No, ma'am. So yeah, and tomorrow we have another competition in the morning. The 22 competition that Nathan will be shooting in tomorrow. So I'll give a little bit of that for the upcoming week. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up this week's life here on Happy Humble Home. So if y'all have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them in the description. What was up in the description box? Be sure to leave them in the comment box below, because I do love to hear from y'all. And like I said, if y'all have any tips and all for the herb garden, or any cool school tips that you found out works for your kids, or anything in general, just leave it in the comment. Oh, also, I am curious, because I am 100% a real Christmas tree person. I put a poll on my Facebook, no, not my Facebook, on my Instagram, and I think it was like 70% was team fake tree, and like 30% was team real tree. And y'all, I'm definitely a team real tree person. Like, me and my husband joke all the time that if it came between a divorce and a fake tree, I would very, very, very begrudgingly settle for a fake tree. But that's pretty much it. So he amuses me every year to get a real tree, and yeah, that's just something like, that's the true Christmas. And I didn't even realize it, but one of my friends told me that they actually make fake trees shed on purpose, so it's like a real tree. But a lot of people that go from a real tree to a fake tree, they want it so it doesn't shed, but then they make them shed. So I'm like, y'all really are just missing out on the full benefit of fake tree. So I would love to hear in the comments below if you are team fake tree or team real tree.
Real tree!
What? Do that again?
Real tree!
So y'all obviously know where I and my family stand, or mainly me, but I love it. So I will check back in with y'all later. Have a good week.